Okay friends, this is the Flycites flower house, set number DG9020, 787 pieces. It has a lighting kit, which is currently on. And let's just turn it around real quick while we can see the whole thing in view. And then we'll get in a little bit closer and look at the details. All around. All right, and then just for comparison, let me shut off the power for the lights real quick. Oop, there you go, lights off and lights on. Now, what originally attracted me to this site is the architecture and the amount of light that they let into this. Although it's called a flower house, it's actually more like a greenhouse or maybe a garden shed, and almost a little bit like a flower boutique, which would explain this A-frame style sign up in front. But you can see up at the top, we've got 6 skylights on both sides like that. And these two actually open up their doors, but there's no, there we go. You can actually pop them open. So there's doors. There's this kind of structural supports on each of the triangular ends. And on this side, you can see there's quite a bit of quite a bit of flowers, along with this, which is supposed to be, I think, a sunflower build. My wife disagrees. She feels like it's not a sunflower. I'm not sure how they could have done that differently with the parts, but it's not bad. And then here it says flower house along the side on one sticker. And this sticker goes across 3 pieces, which is kind of a bummer. I like it when stickers don't do that, when they just go on one piece and then you can actually still take everything apart. And you can see where the lighting kit is here. It's these 1x4 plates underneath, and they just stick up there. And there's 2 of them, which is just enough light to really bring the inside to life, which is really nice. And we'll look at the outside a little bit more before trying to get into the inside. But out here, you can see there is a birdhouse, nice little build. Picket fence, 2 sides. It's got 1 cat. There's actually 3 animals in this. That's one of them. It doesn't have any eyes, which is a little strange. And then this works like maybe a flower menu. These 4 things, which are very hard to read, are the names of flower bouquets. Speaking of bouquets, you get 2 right here. I like this color for this crate. I wish Lego made that. I don't know if they do, but it's a great color. Here's one of the 2 doors. Opens up, and you can see a little bit of stonework path. Here's the second animal. It's a little brown dog. He also has no eyes. I'm not sure what's going on there. A little basket. Here's the second sunflower, and it is on a table that has a few small builds on it. The one in the back there, I think, is a succulent with the red on top. And it's built out of a Technic gear. Like, it's a little gear, and it works perfectly at that scale as a succulent. And then this is a unique take on a vase to use one of these like jet engine parts. I think that was really terrific. I like the table build too, using these grill pieces in there as well. And this right here underneath this table is the battery box. So it's hidden in there pretty well. This is the on-off switch right here. And then here's the wiring. The wiring is sort of just kind of on your own to figure out how to route it. So I did the best I could to sort of keep it out of the way, but it's hard to hide if it's not been, if the wiring hasn't been part of the build and integrated into the build to begin with. But I do love that there's just so many windows. If you look, every side has windows. So you have quite a few on this side too. The center here, here's another door. Windows all along the top. And then along this side, windows here, along the top, there's quite a few. So I appreciate that they did that. It brings in so much light, like a crazy amount of light, so it's really great. I like that they added a little light or sconce right there. But it's just a little strange that that doesn't light up. You kind of want it to light up if it's a kit that has a lighting kit in it. And then around this corner, you can see another table, and this is sort of like a metal table. Pretty nice little build. I haven't built a table like that before. It uses these robot arms, droid arms, 4 of them, and then a table top, and it's a little like display there. And then this is I think a garden hose with a bib. Pretty neat. I haven't seen anything like that before done. And then it says, here's another sign, says Flower House. My wife jokes that the logo for Flower House really bugs her because it looks like it says Flower Louse. And you look at the instructions, and that H does look like an L. So you know what my guess is they used AI to generate this logo. And AI said, yeah, that works as a H. And somebody in China said, yep, that's fine, works. Print it. And so that's what happened. With the windows, you get to see inside quite a bit, right? So here we can see there is a stand, and it's a 3-stage stand, 3 different heights with these light blue pieces with different floral arrangements on them. And I like this use of this orange wig to say, hey, here's a particular flower or plant, and it works pretty well. And they have another kitty in there, and it's a different style. I think the other kitty we saw out front with no eyes was a Friends kitty, and then this kitty I think is one that you find in more of the standard city type of builds. Along the back here is a cabinet with scissors, and some other things. There's a black toolbox up there that you can see just in the corner there, and more flowers. So I like that they have fully detailed the interior, and you can see here right in front there's a small chair and then a white table where they have a bouquet that has sort of the center of attention right there in the middle. These parts are not perfect. I would call them a little bit mushy, and so they didn't click together just right, and you could really feel it on this because those it's 2 plates high, but those plates are never interlocked in any way, so they actually the quadrants want to fall off and separate from each other, and you can really feel that there's a difference in the quality there, but it's okay. The bouquet on that center of that table is really nicely done too. Let me see if I can angle this a little bit better. That's one of the nicer mini bouquets I've ever built, so I like that they did that. And then if you look in the back corner there, you'll see there is a guitar, and there is a camera with a long lens on it sitting in the back there. And one of the things I appreciate about this particular designer is that everything you see here is clipped in or held in some way so that it doesn't just flail around or fall off. So you see here with the guitar, it's actually clipped in all the way down to this kind of, I guess this is like a dresser, not a dresser, but a desk with drawers, you know, like maybe an end table, but it's clipped in. It's not going to fall out. Same with that camera. They found a way to clip it in, and it's actually a unique camera mold. The bottom of it looks different than any other camera I've seen from Lego. Most of the cameras you get from Lego, they do not have any anti-studs, but they actually added anti-studs to that particular camera so that you could clip it into place. So I thought that was cool. So you can see as I'm moving this thing around, everything is stable and not moving around. You don't hear any rattling. That's because everything is clipped in. So I thought that was cool. Even this A-frame stand, I think from other companies, they would just give you an A-frame stand and say, here you go, put it where you're supposed to put it. But here they've actually clipped it in. Let's take those little cat out of the way. You can see that they've clipped it in with one of those 1x1 clips. So it's held in place right there. And that's nice. They didn't have to do that, but they did it. And I appreciate that when they do that because it becomes a little bit more of a better display piece. You can see also inside there's another one of those crates in orange on the inside there. There we go, right there. So that's nice. And then a second little stool. So there's 2 little white stools. So it looks like a nice place to spend time, you know, in there. And it even has the suggestion of wood flooring along the edges. And as I was building it, I knew that it would have a fairly steady base, right? Because look, it's 2 plates tall, and then there's 1 full brick for the once you get to the structure. And then on top of that, they add that extra tile to get that nougat wood in there. And so it's really nice. It's really sturdy and solid. The downside, though, is that this thing does wobble a little bit. So you can kind of see, if you see that, it's wobbling side to side. And that's because the very bottom of it is bowed. And it's lower than the edges. And that's what happens when you stack a lot of plates or a lot of well, it's plates. When you stack a bunch of plates that way, that's why when you buy a actual base plate from Lego, it doesn't have any anti-stud. It's thinner, and that is so that it doesn't bow up on the edges like that. Now, the way to fix this, if that bugs you, is to just add some 1x1 studs near the edges, and then that'll lift it up, and it'll stop it from bowing and it'll stop it from rocking. So that's probably what you could do there. What else can I tell you? This set originally has some errors in it, and I covered that in my unboxing. It said that there were errors, and there was a separate sheet that was included that told you what to change out. And it turns out that I don't know what these mistakes really were. What they had me do was find 8 of these white brackets and change them out with these light gray brackets. And they're really apologetic. It says, "We apologize for the convenience. Please do this for all these particular steps." And the other thing it said to do was to use this part. Anywhere you saw it, use that part instead of the one it came with. Okay, so I swapped those out, and here's where they are. Here's one of the 8 of those brackets. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the other side. And you know what? It didn't change anything functionally. They're identical. And even the clutch power was the same as far as I could tell. It was a very strange swap. I don't totally understand it. And then the other part that they asked us to change out, these guys right here, they are used, if you look, it's a clip used sideways right here that clips into this bracing structure. And I swapped out 4 of them, and I was not sure what change that was making also. I couldn't quite tell. I do know that this roof is really fussy. I had, anytime I had to mess with it or move it, it has some problems because these little clips do start to move, and I don't know if you can see, but there is a gap right here, and that gap lets these pieces here all move and shift. And once that happens, you now have a problem with getting a firm clip in for these other pieces. So that was problematic. The other thing that I found problematic was that it did not originally have you build it with the light kit in place. So where you see these 1x4 plates, they first had you put these in instead of them. So I have 2 of these that it said build those in place. And I did, thinking that that was maybe part of the lighting and they were going to make it a yellowish color. The other thing they had me do was where this battery box is, which is hidden under this table, they had me put these 2 bricks there instead. And it's when I had to put the 2 bricks there that I realized, oh, they're having me put in like stand-in pieces. And it wasn't until the end that they then had me unbuild stuff to put the light kit in. And that's not ideal. That's not really the way I prefer to do it. I prefer to put the light kit in as I'm building it, especially when you have a really fragile roof like this one. Having a fragile roof meant that I'd have to remove the roof to get those 2 in there. And that was a bit of surgery. Things broke, it's kind of a pain. So that's a mysterious thing. I've never experienced that before, where a company that included a light kit told you first to build it without the light kit. It's a little bit strange. I'm sure they had their reason for it. If you have any guesses, feel free to leave a comment. But yeah, there you go. That's my look at this flower house. It's a good addition to a city. I think if you have a city and you need something unique, something architectural, or even a side build for a house that you've made. I think it'd be a really nice addition. All right, there you go. I hope you found this helpful. Hit like if you did, and if you could subscribe, that would help me out a lot. Thank you very much.